What position do you propose?
That's the final straw. Madame, farewell. Your wish shall be my lord.
Splendid.
None but the land gave me as his brother.
We've seen a huge amount of people. There were a lot of interests from the agencies and from individual artists.
Sorry to meet you, William.
So in total, we sifted down from 250 applicants to 76.
I must do what I think right. Madam, my heart is bursting with delight.
This is my chance, and I deserve to lose it if for one moment I hesitate to use it.
Damis!
Thank you.
But there's another lady I have in mind whose sweet and generous nature will not scorn to compensate me for the loss I've borne.
Well done. Well done. Beautifully prepared. It's a hard part, isn't it? Because he's feeling so many things, but he's hiding it all the time. It was really lovely.
I'm Francois. Pleased to meet you. Here's a resume and 2 headshots.
This morning we're seeing mostly the young men who are auditioning for the romantic leads. Francois?
Yes.
You're reading for Valère or Damis?
Valère.
Valère. The one is Valère, who's in love with Marianne, and the other one is Damis, who is the brother of Marianne. And obviously the game I'm looking for in Valère is he's desperately hurt.
Yes.
But he doesn't want to show it.
Okay, cool.
So I want you to find time to show me how you're really feeling.
Yes.
And her something else.
This breach, remember, is of your making. It's you who've driven me to the step I'm taking.
Of course. You shall never see my face again.
Fantastic. Wow, what a great audition.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well done, you've got a beautiful voice.
I love Molière.
With Molière, it's an ability to do text. In this case, it's a Molière that we've chosen that has been translated according to how Molière wrote, which is in the Alexandrine verse. That's the rhyming couplet. So the actor's ability to handle classical text, to shy away from the repetition of rhyme and try and make it sound fresh and new, and not fall into the pattern of how rhyme sounds. So it's a huge challenge for actors to have that. The other layer, of course, is to see how they are as actors. I want to see a callback of yours.
No, thank you.
Work this text for me, please. It's basically just the Valère monologue, so it would end on door, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
It's such a treat to be able to get a new lineup of freshly graduated people, like somebody like Francois, whom, quite frankly, by his CV, I could see there was potential, but I'd never heard of him, and you know, I'm just amazed.
I have swallowed my wrath for far too long and watched this insolent bigot.
I mean, all the actors have singularly said just how relevant this is, even though it was written 400 years ago.
It's high time my father is undeceived, and now I have proved there can be disbelief.
I mean, for goodness sake, this will probably go down in history, but it's my first audition on an enormous election day for the US, something terribly worrying. So we're talking about bigots, we're talking about people who corrupt, who are frauds, and who still convince very intelligent and sensitive people to believe in them. So it's a very appropriate day to be casting for Tartuffe. And I'm going to ask you to look at a character called Cléante. Okay. He is the voice of reason in the play, and he talks sense. And at the moment, we're undecided as to why, you know, people have cast him always as a wise old man. But I really am looking for him to be quite young, because he's the brother of his wife, who's a young wife. We've got very few Cléantes. It's a very hard role, and the men of that age are just not bringing it to the party.
Yeah. Oh, they're booked.
You found your way through the backs. Eventually. So we're going to have Elmire, your stepmother, in the space. And you've basically been wanting to shaft Tartuffe in a big way. And I just want to see the rage. It's like a chihuahua going ballistic. So I want you to use your body. You know how I work. It's physical, physical, physical. Rage, walk up and down, just use what you've got.
The sweet revenge of it, I bet.
I'm going to play you a piece of music, and I want you to just listen to it once, and the second time move it, however it grabs you. Well, it's quite short, but just get back into the body and feel what this music makes you want to do. I just want to see if they're physically intelligent. I mean, it's a term I use often with my work. And you see immediately if they are able to understand a physical manifestation. Others are blocked and don't know what to do. Thank you.
Hey!
It's glorious. Adrian, I'm definitely calling you back. We are in final stages of selection, and the callback phase is basically a rotation of the actors we have picked. So we're trying to make our family, basically, that will be the Tartuffe team for 6 months of next year, because it's an extended tour. I wish I could accommodate everyone, and as you know, with what we do, we can't. So we're down from 220 through to 76, down to 24. The procedure today is to divide up into pairings, all reading opposite the lead characters who've already been cast. So we've got Neil McCarthy playing Orgon, Craig Morris who's playing Tartuffe, and Vanessa Cook who's playing Doreen. The framework of those who hold the cast is the bar that is set, and it's a very high bar. But more than anything else, their commitment to things is huge. And because we're making families, we're making siblings, we're making pairs of lovers, those dynamics have to be very believable. Great stuff. Can we see Adrian? Good. Looking at dummies? Oh, what's amazing about Adrian is that he's 45. But he's got the sort of spirit of someone much younger.
Have you no heart? Are you hoodwinked by this rascal's art? You monster.
So I think just in terms of family and building families, for me, he's the closest dummies.
Yeah. But I think also in terms of interpretation, it's the one that's not just a I'm angry kind of thing. It's that there's layers to it.
And the girl that I've really earmarked to play his sister looks very much like him.
And you can repay me if, in all things, you'll cheerfully obey me.
To please you, sir, is what delights me best.
They could be twins. I mean, in terms of that energy.
My sister.
Oh my God.
Shall I say that I am fond of him and would rejoice in being his wife, if that should be your choice?
Ah, now I have my long-awaited chance to punish his deceit and arrogance and give my father clear and shocking proof of the black character of his dear Tartuffe.
Demise!
So we've got the scene, here's the table,
Okay.
husband's hiding underneath, and your Tartuffe is about to enter. The big two that we're wanting to find today are Cléante and Elmire, who are pivotal leads as well, but that we couldn't instinctively cast just by inviting them to be those roles. We had to see who was out there. So to work with those double layers of needing to do what you have to do, but also quite repulsed.
You wish to have a word with me, I'm told?
Yes. I have a little secret to unfold.
Tartuffe's biggest conquest is Orgon's wife, Elmire.
In my confusion, I didn't have any sense simply to contradict his evidence, but as it happened, that was for the best.
Even though he doesn't need her, he's got his daughter, he's got his property.
All has worked out in our interest.
Even though he knows Elmire is very bright, he still thinks he's going to be able to win her over.
No happiness is so complete as when from lips we love come words so sweet in honeyed rivulets through all my veins. To please you is my joy, my only goal. Your love is the restorer of my soul.
Yeah, I think she's amazing. She can jump between those layers like this.
Yeah.
It ill becomes a pious man like you.
I may be pious, but I'm human too. I know such words sound strange to me coming from me, but I'm no angel nor was meant to be. Before your seraph glance, divinely sweet, my heart's defenses crumbled in defeat to nothing but...
The actor I've cast for Tartuffe himself is an extraordinary physical theatre actor. So he will set the bar in terms of where I can push the actors to go. We did a very long and arduous search for Cléante, and we didn't find him. And there was a reason for that. It's because she was waiting in the wings to take this part.
And when there's an enemy to defame, they cloak their spite in fair religion's name.
Camilla Waldman is playing Cleante, and the chance to have a woman play Cleante for the first time since this play has ever been written. I really, really researched it, and it's apparently never been done before.
Kindness and benevolence.
It makes sense to me that in the world we are now, a woman is the voice of reason.
Your reasoning is badly warped and stretched.
A woman has passion and sensitivity and sentiment to defend something that's going terribly wrong.
There's true and false. How do you fail to see it, may I ask? Is not a face quite different from a mask?
You do not know the man of whom you speak. A man who... An excellent man!
And the idea of having Cleante as a woman, of lessening the whole religious metaphor, I think are absolutely brilliant ideas and give a completely fresh outlook on the play.
We are very excited as well because political situation in South Africa is actually getting closer to what's happening in the play every day. So, you know, it's absolutely frightening and wonderful. So, yeah, thanks.
The public demands to read an actor's body. The attitudes the body reflects cannot be blurred or easy without generous clarity and control. That's kind of a mantra to everything that I'm going to be doing with you guys. So what I'm looking to do is to analyze movement, break it down, isolate, so that everything is heightened, because the work of Molière requires that expressions are always located in dislocation, so that we're never standing and talking. It's not that kind of work. That's why I've cast who I've cast.
I mean, I come from a classical text-based tradition, and the reason I was very attracted to doing this was because I knew it was going to throw me into a whole different way of thinking about performance.
Pushing, pulling. Pushing and pulling, which is basically what a play is, okay? The movement of language, action, drama, pushing and pulling. Comedy pushes, pulls. When it's in pull mode, the shoulders are working very differently on that angle.
The movements add something different, and I have to consider the placement of words now and what they actually mean, the push and pull. When am I doing the pulling? Because I thought I was just doing the pushing the whole time in a particular scene. And so now I'm just like, maybe I'm pulling a lot more than I think I am.
Elmire's trying to convince him to come to me.
Although I've done my research in terms of my character, I haven't quite grasped where I want to place her.
And if there's a dialogue between us, it's pushing.
A lot of the times when you want to do certain works and you want to incorporate this kind of vocabulary and language, it's about integrating it and really ritualizing it, I suppose.
But the underbelly of Tartuffe is the tragedy that consistent corruption and hypocrisy exist, and we seem to never be able to get out of the cycle. And when I was preparing the class, I thought of the passage of the river Styx. Where is he going to lead these people? Okay, so we're going to be using a movement called le passeur, which means the boatman. It's on diagonals. Plant the stick in the water. It's the pushing and pulling. Push. Pull it out. It's between you and me. Change angles. It's finding your way. It's trying to get away. Find the water. It's starting over. Push, push down, pull, and retrieve.
I think the physical theatre thing is necessary to bring it into our time, you know, to give it an aesthetic which is challenging and layered on top of what has become a rather sort of beautiful but sort of fixed in time set of literature, you know, a literary text.
The next thing we're going to learn are the 9 attitudes. Again, to heighten the work, again, to articulate a language that lies beneath the spoken word, we need the 9 attitudes embedded underneath. So the first one is the samurai, who becomes the table.
But this is something completely different. It's phenomenal.
It's all on the diagonal, so nothing is upright, pedestrian.
My body is singing. It's going, oh, this is what I was supposed to do. I can't stop moving because it feels fantastic.
People, then back forward. Yeah. Those are the 9 attitudes. So if Tartuffe or Orgon or Elmire or any of you are surprised to see someone enter a room, to keep it upright and go, oh my goodness, is very different than to going. So pair up and see if you can find a dialogue within the 9 attitudes with each other. It's amazing. That's going to feed in every day, by the way. We're going to do those circles every day to just get glimpses of how you respond to each other, sort of the chemistry between actors and characters.
I disinherit you. There was a lot of moments where I just felt this incredible tension between the need to make a physical proposal and the need to sort of honour this dense text.
There were moments where that was totally captured and you just suddenly saw that the two were working as a cog. And Neil, quite honestly, you are really starting to get it more than you probably think. Yeah. So that this crooked question mark that comes of your body when you see him, which started in the circle when you crossed each other.
You are my peace, my solace.
For me, on the one hand, it might feel necessary to be moving, but on the one hand, it might be too much, and you're not honoring the text. So how you're placing yourself in a space becomes like it was awkward for me.
Could you feel, though, that when you do stand still and talk for too long, it's deadly?
Yeah.
The minute I said weave in and out of those curtains, could you feel the difference?
Yes.
What else were you guys feeling?
I felt often I was kind of behind.
I
was kind of behind the pace. I was kind of behind the thought. And the thought, the words were going, and I was going, oh no, oh, and so the words
Your meaning is a few steps backwards. And I think that the rhyming couplet is going to be an incredible discovery. Yeah. We're not by no means on top of it, not one of us here.
We have to ride that horse and rein it in. Right. And sometimes even what gives the rhyming couplet even more powers, sometimes that we don't honour it. Right. That you go against the rhyme.
And this is great to identify now, guys. You recognise the danger of that trap. Yeah. And thinking that you're safe because it's written so well. Yeah. You're not.
It's hard to be a faithful wife, in short, to certain husbands of a certain sort.
Okay, just hold it there, Sophia. In this place, it's really nice if you come back behind to start playing with like a minimization. I saw it coming now, of listening and pulling and pushing and illustrate what it is she's saying with the feelings that she's evoking. Okay, would you, honestly, a person like me to a man like him? Yeah, so just work the push and pull. Keep a little bit of distance between you. If you think of it as being day 4 in a 4-week process, I've been astonished as to how absorptive they've been, that they've kind of taken on the rule that you move before you actually think.
Think, sir, before you play so risky a role.
Good, good. I move with my cast the whole time. I very seldom sit. My engagement in terms of blocking is almost a choreography, feeding off what the actors are giving me. And if they're standing straight up and not giving me anything, then I'll push them into a diagonal or into an oblique.
In short, dear daughter, I mean to be obeyed, and you are to bow to the sound choice I have made.
Take it backwards, Vuyelwa. Take that angle backwards. Correct.
I was pissed that she doesn't say anything, because I'm not. I'm just like, girl, you could say something. You could say no. But she kind of, so negotiating the world at the time, right? And understanding maybe it's not so much fear that's keeping her quiet. Maybe it's shock that's keeping her quiet. Because the fear then keeps me still for a very, very long time. And I can't afford to be still in that kind of a physical situation. Otherwise, I look dead.
What are those hands doing, Vuyelwa? Just respond off the hands, respond up the spine, just keep it alive, okay? It's very awkward.
We've just done the scene now, which is a very slapstick, very commedia scene where I'm trying to force my daughter to marry Tartuffe, or to agree to marry Tartuffe, and Doreen is trying to pull it in the opposite direction.
I think I really like...
You don't hold your tongue, you let out.
Lost your temper.
To feel that kind of push and pull, and now how the style really kind of animates that scene and is so entirely necessary to it to make it make sense. It's a wonderful process to feel happening in the body.
I want action. I want it to stop. I want to stop this marriage because it's wrong. I want to stop Tartuffe trying to take over our house. And, you know, sometimes, as you know, in the world, even though you believe in the right things, terrible things happen.
Just have a look at this sequence, Craig. Can you help me here? Just want it to last a little longer. And that there's something that's going to... Somebody's going to give, and I don't know who it is, but we need to make it more interesting.
It's obviously part of Sylvaine's universe in terms of how she directs. We've been doing a lot of physical excavation, and what excites me is how the spaces that exist between the words are filled with action, and the spaces between the action are the spaces for the words to inhabit.
She's going to almost just expire.
I've got a deep training in body work. That's kind of where I come from.
As Orgon turns around.
It's been massively rewarding for me to begin to collaborate with a larger ensemble cast in this universe of the body and the expressiveness of the body, telling stories through action.
And I think lovely for you to sort of be in that. Hop, hey, hop, hop, up and down, yeah?
Well, she's got this wonderful technique where you discover the scene, you read the scene, and then you embody the scene. And then that creeps its way into the blocking process. That's a sort of seamless process that vocabulary of movement and of the use of body makes its way into the staging choices.
Knife to his throat. Hold his stick and speak, Neil.
Daughter, this maid of ours is a thorough pest.
You know the shriek. You know the shriek means trowel.
I haven't worked like this as an actor with this kind of intensity. I leave here feeling, part exhausted and completely on fire. I have to sort of... I sat outside my house, actually, for around 15 minutes. Just be like, okay, calm down, so that I can meet my life again.
Actors are terrified of choreographers. But, once you let them know it's okay, you don't have to be a dancer to be able to do this. And you explain it to them in a rational way, and they can start, because actors overthink, let's be honest, they do overthink. Dancers don't think at all. I didn't say that.
Today is a very exciting day because we are getting to hear Dean's final version of the party tune, which he's been working on steadily for the last 2 months.
At the moment, I'm just sort of putting the finishing touches on a few transition pieces that I've been writing for in between different acts and scenes.
It's incredible to witness Craig's process. is a dream because of how receptive he is physically, and he's been amazing for this process because he often initiates, he takes the warm-up. So the actors who aren't familiar with the style have him as a guidance, which is, he's a guru.
So I'm playing Flippot, who is the maid to Madame Pernelle in the beginning.
If you keep the course on which you've started.
I'm playing Monsieur Loyal, who's a bailiff who comes in on behalf of Tartuffe.
Good to you, good sir. May heaven confound your enemies, and may all your joys abound.
And then at the end I play the king's officer as well.
The king soon recognized Tartuffe as one notorious.
He's been in Molière before, so he's had experience with the extremity with which I take Molière to.
Sylvaine works in workshop environments where everybody has the ability to propose things.
I didn't know the space was open enough to be but I don't know if my character would want to do that, because generally, to have an actor advocate openly for their character and be no, actually, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't go there, but I could push it like this, is really amazing.
And you, his sister, seemed so pure, so shy, so innocent and so demure.
What better way than to have an old woman like Pernelle shatter everyone's joy? The reference point is, we love having fun, and we're going to be told not to.
This house appalls me.
That is what Tartuffe has come to bring to this house. So, yeah, the idea is mine, and I'm hoping that it'll come full circle, where the dance starts again at the end, because corruption never ends.
Halfway cake, halfway there. We're sort of almost through the second layer of paint.
The next half of the work really starts now, with every second of the play being interrogated.
Another big challenge that lies ahead is pace.
Find compression in some scenes, stretch out others.
Just as you kind of get a sense that you're kind of getting on top of it, these new elements come into play and you're once again chasing them.
They think they've been working hard until now.
Henceforth, thou persecute the whole false brotherhood, and persecute them worse than Satan could.
It's desperately painful. He's heartbroken, but he's trying to hold it together.
His world's shattered completely, and I think if anything, that's where the voice needs to be most yours than his, because he has an affected voice.
Every time you sort of peel something off, you realise, God, there's so much more beneath this.
What I'm working a lot with, Neil, is how Orgon's body betrays what he's actually saying.
It's like you're juggling the whole time. You've got to keep the comedy, keep the consistency of the character, but at the same time make sure that the real deep emotional aspects of the piece, the risk, the jeopardy that underlies this whole story is not lost.
It's easy to sort of interpret it on a level that he's infatuated and that's it, but I think it's much more complex than that. And he's not a stupid man, so somewhere along the line he must be feeling in his gut this guy's not quite right.
Have I ceased to believe in you? Their adverse talk will certainly continue, and charges which you now repudiate you may find credible at a later date. No, brother, never.
There's a face not quite different from a mask. That's the theme in this, and all of the actors have had to find the darker side to the character. Even little Marianne, who's written quite thinly.
I figured out that yesterday. I was like, oh, she could definitely lead with her elbows when she's walking out of a room or when she's fighting Valère, and where does her pride sit really?
And so from the beginning we need to see that there's another side to her.
Oh, I'm no great loss. I'm sure you'll transfer your heart quite painlessly from me to her.
The scene with the lovers, it's one scene, but it's a scene that needs to kind of introduce them and also introduce the relationship. So I just want to lift it off the page and bring these people to life.
Would you prefer it if I pine away in hopeless passion until my dying day?
Even though the play is split in 5 different acts and not everyone is in those 5 acts. Sylvaine, she said that she wants everyone to be here to observe. So you find yourself learning while watching others.
This house, sir, from the cellar to the roof, belongs now to the good Monsieur Tartuffe.
Work on this. You have an inclination as the actor to work like that, okay?
all of it's quite set back. I think it's a bark. You are to me.
This also from the cellar to the roof belongs now to the good Monsieur Tartuffe.
I liked what you did there. And angle yourself to the family.
My business here is not with you.
I find the way that she works with the actor and the character. She talks quite a lot about the actor and the character being alongside.
It's quite an internal process, and every now and again there are moments of connection where you're seeing your fellow actors and seeing that character coming to life.
Okay, so Neil, what it is you grab him under his arms so that Adrian just keep rising, keep rising, keep rising. Look at your aunt.
And I think what happens over the next 2 weeks is that you're expanding those moments where you're at peace with what you're doing enough to be able to really receive what other people are doing.
Keep the case suspended in tension. And just isolate that look between you of, I'm back. And he's accepted it. Okay. Right.
There's a really, really difficult scene in Act 4 where Cléante confronts Tartuffe.
I'm glad we've met, sir. And I'll give my view of this sad matter in a word or two.
And it's a moment at which Tartuffe now he lets down his mask.
Fearing my accuser's tongue, I strove to buy his silence with an act of love.
It's really fine direction, and I think Craig, he really reveals. He's just like, you know what I mean? So he becomes kind of mocking. It's the first time, I think, for the audience and for Cléante that you really see Tartuffe in his... He's kind of, now it's actually just, he can play.
You allowed Orgon to broach this matter, and that you feel no self-reproach. Cockroach! And if the Lord... If the Lord has commanded you in your heart that you and young Damis must dwell apart.
Today we've finally gotten to a stage where the set is completely up with all the touches that we needed to do, and we are now mapping through with the actors so that they can find their way in a new space.
Because we're cutting from one scene to the next.
Yes, so all the way around and coming
And then
back
coming
out.
back.
I guess it's like moving into a new house.
Okay, that's great, yeah.
It's a very exciting phase. This is a wonderful theatre. It's got a beautiful feel to it.
I plan, madame, to be guided by heaven's will.
It's almost like we've gained an additional cast member.
And I think the whole play is going to lift by a couple of feet. Now that we've got all the bells and whistles, we've just got to make sure that they all work now.
Sadie, just want to see Neil's exit and timing for that. And go track 3.
Marianne? Marianne?
Yes,
A word with you. Come here.
The fact that I've had them working on the set for so long, they feel contained. So the last week was really about exploring and pushing the vertical lines, such as the deeper work as opposed to the horizontal work, which is blocking and laying out who comes in when. Now it was the more emotive.
You would too well to ponder it.
Daughter, we'll disregard this dunderhead. Just trust your father's judgment.
I started with fear and self-doubt, and I was daunted, right? But it's like we've climbed the mountain now, and so now we're just doing it in front of an audience. We're just showing them our climb and our joy.
But if I were she, no man would marry me against my inclination and go scot-free. Budade!
And also having the lights and everything is it's amazing.
That requires a heart.
That's a nice glow, Ollie.
It's been one of my career dreams to work with Sylvaine. There was a lot of pressure in the beginning. Then she eased me into the idea behind the piece. We kind of started to collaborate, and our ideas just met hand in hand.
It's so strong from here. Every state of the show is getting plotted and put into the computer, after which I sit with him. We see the palette that he's arranged.
What we tried to do is mimic the movement of the sun throughout the piece.
Dawny pinks that move into a midday, a glare, a brightness, and then it sets.
And then we've got little surreal moments that we visit a kind of shaft of red light that comes through the back door, symbolizing the dark side to Tartuffe. Then as we progress through the play, we start to hate him, and we do that with light as well. Now we're doing a speed run through, just so the technicians can kind of get a little bit more comfortable with the cues just before opening night, which is tonight.
There's a beautiful tree that's hanging over this whole courtyard. And when the world changes, that tree is stripped of leaves. So the world is stripped of any gentleness. After the plants have gone, the world where it's set, which is a single room, becomes atrophied and empty and skeletal.
That man's a perfect monster.
Which is really the symbol of the barren soul.
We get to launch the ship today. It's nerve-wracking and whatever, but that's big show stuff.
I was thinking about it, and I think the last time I've been in a venue that's anything like this is about 23 years.
You learn to channel the nervousness.
You've got to kind of say, this is my house, you're coming in, we're going to have fun together.
They are the other cast member.
Yeah. But if you kind of let them get inside your head as little internal judging voices, and it becomes very sweaty palmy.
I get excited, especially when the lights come on and everything. It's like, yeah, we're doing it, it's real. So, yeah, I'm just amped.
In theatre, you learn to make do with what you have.
This is what you call instant sewing.
It's fun, but when it gets to last-minute vibes like now, it's kind of a little bit stressful.
Oliver's done a fantastic job, and set and lights work so well together. And a lot of our original reference photos were images with light, so he's definitely done it justice.
Push it a little bit forward. So I need to make sure that everything is perfect. I also make sure that the actors have got their props. And then I also operate lighting for the show and sound.
You never know what it's going to look like until it goes up, and there's so much that can and can't go wrong, so it's always opening night kind of like...
Like they say, usually actors have got butterflies in their stomach. I also have those, because here we're talking about sponsors, newspaper, media, everything. So you need to make sure that everything is smooth.
It's not like I'm becoming Madame Burnell. She's got to look austere, and these are things that we collected in preparing for rehearsals. And the sketches are very strong sketches of the style that Sylvaine has used. So that's what's in our bodies and in our minds.
A lot of the rehearsal was reminding us of what that basic vocabulary is, and then pushing us to use it and stretch beyond it.
Because the play happens on those multiple levels. There's the dialogue, the Molière text, on the scaffolding of this physical text that's happening at the same time.
I'm listening to music, and that helps me. I'm zoning in, and then as soon as I put on my hair, become Marianne, I'll probably listen to her playlist. Swing, Nina Simone, Little Girl Blue, Billie Holiday, All of Me, by Great Big World. So beautiful. But each person has their own ritual.
I have like an owl there, so I just take him everywhere I go. I just burn some incense, and I was just singing, and to sort of like remind myself of the journey that we've traveled. It's about to step on the tightrope.
Everybody's got their own method in terms of getting into, like performance mode, because it is different from just every day. And also how to manage your nerves and get focused for what's coming.
Alright, here we go.
The attitudes is what we've been doing every day in rehearsal. So it reminds us of the style of the piece. It gets us physically switched on for that mode of performance.
Do you remember in Miranda? Do you remember in?
That's where it all really comes together in a kind of laser sense, where we really begin to get into it.
Only you.
And Tartuffe.
Tartuffe? Why, he's round and red, bursting with health and excellency.
Poor fellow.
Thanks for this counsel, sir. Now follow it, of course.
Do, I'm sure it will cost you no remorse.
If it didn't cause your heart to break.
I gave it, madam, only for your sake.
And it's for your sake that I take it, sir.
Good wives laugh off such trifles and forget them. Why should they tell their husbands and upset them?
You have your reasons for taking such a course, and I have reasons too, of equal force.
Were you commanded, sir, to indulge the whim of poor Ordon, and to encourage him in suddenly transferring to your name a large estate to which you have no claim?
Could never occur to those who know me best to think I acted from self-interest.
I shall not press you.
And with that first duty done, I turn with pleasure to a second one and give Valère.
Give Valère his love has proved so true, the wedded happiness, which is his duty.
An amazing read that the ending is too easy in the country in which we live, and certainly the world in which we live. I'm anticipating an ending that will be far more distressing, in that the family leaves to kiss the sovereign's feet and thank him for this forgiveness. And the officer stays on, and Tartuffe and him share a cigarette, and something is exchanged, and Tartuffe walks off free. So we need to see that visually. We can't change Moliere's ways and words, but that is, I think, something we're going to be left with. It's a minute gesture, but we understand that it continues.
The character and the world we're living in today in South Africa, I think that says a lot.
Well done to her actually on the directorship. The play was written in the 17th century, but some of these things, you see them turning out in society today, and I think she really did a good job in terms of bringing that out.
For BNP Paribas, access to arts is a social necessity. Tartuffe matched something that BNP Paribas as a group wants to promote. And there it was. The partnership began with the embassy to support Tartuffe in South Africa.
We're accountants, so we need some creativity to get us going.
Okay, so we're here in Grahamstown and we're finishing 6 months of a tour on the most extraordinary journey of Tartuffe. I can't believe we've reached the end. Realizing here just how wonderful it's been to be held in such a way by sponsors, by organizations who have cared so much about this project and who have believed in it and invested in it. The response has been consistent in every city. The desire for this kind of work, a work of this caliber, a classic. Well, we're almost finished, and it's very, very painful because we belong here, and we need to make that continue. The classics belong here.